The hunt for one monster has led them into the jaws of another. With the instigator Triss having vanished like a ghost in the night, the Nighthawks are forced to rely on a tool of terrifying power, sealed artifact 2-049. Escorted from the heart of the church, this artifact is their only hope of tracking the remnants of the Antigonus family. Yet, its aid comes at a harrowing price. To even be in its presence, Klein and his comrades must perform a constant, ridiculous exercise, a bizarre dance to keep its insidious influence at bay. One moment of stillness, one delayed reaction, and they risk becoming mindless puppets, their thoughts slowing to a final, permanent halt. As they draw closer to their target, the artifact's power surges, its frantic knocking from within its containment box a prelude to madness. Inside the killer's lair, the rules suddenly change. Its influence doubles, striking two Nighthawks at once, including Klein himself. Helpless and frozen, Klein can only watch as the box creaks open, revealing the artifact's true form, a wooden puppet with the painted, smiling face of a clown. Now, as its lifeless eyes lock onto his, what fate awaits the one who has awakened its fury? The wooden puppet's face was painted in red and yellow like the common clown. The corners of its mouth were upturned high, revealing an abnormally comical smile. Its lips parted to reveal a dark and deep mouth. Klein, who had locked his gaze with it, felt his hair stand as intense horror leaped out of his heart in an uncontrollable manner.
Everything before his eyes grew dull, as though he was looking at the world through a piece of thick brown glass. Klein's thoughts slowed down gradually, and he instinctively wanted to ask for help, but his neck seemed to be held tight by a rope. He couldn't make a single sound, and the single word was trapped in silence.
Just then, Dunn noticed his arm exercises becoming sluggish and pushed him heavily. The brown glass before Klein's eyes shattered in an instant. He blurted out the word,
"Help!" which had remained dormant in his throat. It reverberated within the carriage, with sharp panic.
Klein spoke in a very certain tone. "It's getting stronger." Being next to a strange sealed artifact like 2-049 really placed one in terrifying peril if they were not careful. No, it was totally impossible to guard against it. It could only be avoided through other methods. Harson said steadily, nodding.
"It's normal."
Lorata chuckled.
"It seems to like you. Don't worry, it is a relatively less dangerous grade 2 sealed artifact."
In her naturally languid voice, the puppet whose joints clearly reflected a human stood up. It began tottering towards its left. Its action was incomprehensible, just like a steam engine that someone had rusted due to a lack of lubricating oil. Robot dance. Klein suddenly had the few Chinese words pop into his head. He had a new guess of the danger 2-049 posed. It assimilates the living things that it seizes control of. If I am not woken up in time by the others, would I have become a human-sized puppet, a real-life Barbie doll? Just as thoughts flooded Klein, Harson was awoken by Dunn. He extended and bent his arms as he pointed in the direction that the puppet was walking slowly towards. He said to Leonard, who was driving the carriage,
"Over there."
Leonard couldn't make the carriage pass through the building, so he had to detour. During the detour, 2-049 constantly adjusted the direction that it was facing. It acted like a compass that pointed towards the Antigonus family. Upon seeing the scene, Klein, who was constantly exercising his arms, nearly burst out laughing under the tension. "I heard that 2-049 was created by the Antigonus family. Is this an act of loyalty or the perfect example of screwing things up?" Leonard drove the carriage according to Harson's occasional instructions. Whenever the strange puppet 2-049 walked to the edge of the carriage, Harson would pull it back and start it all over again. Every time that happened, its mouth would open and two people would be under its influence simultaneously. Klein's taut feelings gradually began to relax. He realized that sealed artifact 2-049 was not as scary anymore. As long as there were more than 3 people present and they constantly maintained their arm motions, if they made sure to wake their partners in time, 2-049 was merely a puppet with slightly unique characteristics. The carriage traveled at high speed, and quickly arrived at the harbor, where warehouses were clustered. After circling a few times, they confirmed that 2-049 intended to enter the innermost grayish-white warehouse. Iyer Harson's expression turned solemn. He grabbed the puppet carefully and stuffed it back into the black chest. The sound of constant, ferocious knocking echoed from within the chest as Iyer woke up again and again with the help of Borgia and Lorata as he activated the mechanism with great effort. He then injected his spirituality and activated the star and crimson symbols on the chest. At the reappearance of the formless seal, Iyer Harson let out a long heavy breath. Dunn Smith said with a low and mild voice,
"Let's get down, Leonard. Tying the horse here will do."
Dressed in windbreakers, suits, or shirts, the six left the carriage and walked into the innermost warehouse. As they walked, they uniformly stretched and bent their arms. This added a comical and ridiculous vibe to the rather tense situation. The Nighthawk Awkward Dance Squad. Klein could only complain inwardly to ease such a feeling. However, there was no other way around it. According to his observations, 2-049 first affected the upper body. Therefore, to detect it in time to prevent a more dangerous situation from developing, they only had the choice of extending and bending their arms, shake their necks or bodies. However, the latter only made one look like a hooligan. As for actions like blinking eyes and striking one's eyebrows, they were either too easily ignored or the action was too big. Neither was a good option. This awkward dance squad is better than Causeway Bay Triad members. Klein sighed in resignation and followed Captain Dunn Smith and company. As they approached the warehouse's door, the deeper his anxiety and worry became. No one knew what kind of effect the notebook had on Ray Bieber. If something dire happened, Klein did not dare pin his hopes on transmigrating again. Furthermore, he discovered that he could still be injured and bleed while chopping ingredients for dinner. The speed at which he recovered at was normal too. He wasn't some kind of monster that was impervious to combat or death. As they walked, Dunn suddenly lowered his non-moving hand and made a pressing gesture to beckon everyone to stop 10 meters away from the warehouse's door. Dunn said as he turned his head to Klein.
"Klein, divine if there is any danger in the warehouse. It'd be better if you could tell the level of danger."
His gray eyes looked deep as usual. There was no fear. Klein gave an unnoticeable nod and stopped the hand exercise. He extended his right hand to his left cuff and removed the silver chain that had a hanging piece of topaz. As he was still moving his arms, Dunn realized his sluggish actions in time and woke him up with a nudge. Klein held the silver chain with his left hand and allowed the topaz to hang down naturally. Simultaneously, he moved his right arm, but with a much smaller range of motion. When the topaz stabilized, he half closed his eyes, outlined the spherical light, and entered cogitation. He then mumbled, "There's danger in the warehouse. There's danger in the warehouse." After 7 times, he opened his eyes and saw the hanging topaz slowly going in clockwise circles. It turned faster and faster, and in the end, Klein felt like it was pulling his left hand. Klein replied honestly, "There's danger, great danger." Clockwise meant affirmation to the chanted statement, while counterclockwise meant denial. To other Beyonders, even a mystery prior, using spirit dowsing could only determine if there was danger, but it was unable to obtain information regarding the level of danger. However, Klein discovered that when he used spirit dowsing, the pendulum would spin at different speeds, revealing the degree of the answer. Although it was not very accurate and extremely vague, it allowed one to have a rough assessment of the actual situation, as expected of a seer potion. Klein was rather happy with the outcome. Just as he was about to put away the topaz pendulum, Leonard Mitchell, who had maintained his silence, suddenly spoke.
"Divine if there is danger around us also."
Dunn nodded in agreement.
"Yes, I am worried that the secret order will not give up and that it has placed Ray Bieber's house under constant surveillance. They could have followed us here and could cause trouble at a critical moment.
Klein took a deep breath and entered a calm, ethereal state once again. When the silver chain turned stable once again, he recited in his heart, "There is danger surrounding us. There is danger surrounding us." After repeating the statement, Klein opened his eyes and looked at the silver chain. In his dark brown eyes, the topaz pendulum first moved counterclockwise with difficulty. Then, it suddenly paused and started moving clockwise. Klein felt a tug on his heartstrings as he spoke carefully. "There is danger surrounding us." Furthermore, someone had tried to intercept his divination, but had lost to him in the invisible fight. Just as he spoke, an orange-yellow fireball the size of a fist flew towards them. It came crashing towards the middle of the group with its blazing speed. Dunn Smith, who had already drawn his long-barreled revolver before Klein did his divination, immediately raised his hand, aimed, and pulled the trigger. A loud crack echoed as the revolver fired, but the fireball didn't seem to be affected by the gunshot but continued its original trajectory, as though it was forcing everyone to scatter from dodging.
Klein originally thought nothing of the troublemaker who was following them. After all, there were 6 Beyonders present. They were not even short of Sequence 8 and Sequence 7 experts. It was a lineup that was practically unstoppable in a small city like Tingen. But when the fireball smashed down, he came to a sudden realization. To them, the most dangerous enemy was not the trekker nor the troublemaker. It wasn't even Ray Bieber who was in the warehouse in an unknown state, but the sealed artifact 2-049. Once they dispersed and the battle began, they wouldn't be able to wake each other in time. Then, they would turn into real-life puppets one after another.
As these chaotic thoughts bombarded him, Klein was pulled by Leonard aside to dodge the fireball. Without the time to feel anguish for his clothing, he saw the Nighthawks split off into 2 groups while dodging. It was done very orderly. The orange-yellow fireball landed on the ground and dissipated with a soft whoosh, not stirring one bit of dust. An illusion? Just as this thought came to him, Klein saw Iyer Harson lift the black chest and threw at least 10 meters away. Iyer shouted,
"Stay away from it. Watch it."
Before he finished his shout, Leonard and Borja had separately approached it. They stood at least 7 meters from the chest to prevent anyone from approaching. As for Dunn and Larada, they each held guns. They stood beside Iyer Harson, who had drawn a thin silver sword. They took up a formation resembling a crescent as they rushed towards the origins of the fireball, while taking note of the peripheral regions. Upon seeing this scene, Klein, who needed to do the arm exercises without his cane, immediately heaved a sigh of relief. He realized he had overlooked an important matter. 2-049 had a limited range of influence. As long as they were at a sufficient distance from it, they did not need to worry about the danger. Klein rolled over and stood up. He stuffed his topaz pendulum into his pocket with one hand while he reached into his holster for his revolver with the other. A location in Hong Kong. Under the illumination of the afternoon sun, Klein in his dust-coated clothes quickly twisted his revolver's barrel to remove his self-imposed safety. He went into a shooting stance, allowing the light to reflect from the bronze body of the revolver. He held the revolver with one hand, and moved his other arm, cautiously paying attention to anything that could happen around him. At the same time, he was a little worried for Captain Dunn and Mr. Iyer Harson. After all, both were nightmare beyonders who specialized in influencing the enemy from the shadows. He did not know if they were adept at direct combat. Just as Klein was having these considerations, Iyer Harson slowed down, his expression becoming serene and peaceful. He opened his mouth and recited a peaceful poem, one that seemed to place a person into the night.
When once the sun sinks in the west, and dewdrops pearl the evening's breast, almost as pale as moonbeams are, or its companionable star, the evening primrose opens anew its delicate blossoms to the dew, and, hermit-like, shunning the light,
The recital reverberated around them. Klein nearly lost his tense feelings and completely relaxed. He was lucky that he had experienced something similar before and was not facing Iyer Harson. Thus, he quickly collected himself and entered a half-cogitative state to combat the influence of the poem. Phew! He let out a sigh of relief. He no longer had any doubts about Dunn's and Iyer's direct combat abilities. As he had only advanced recently and still did not have a deep understanding of sequence potions, Klein had forgotten that the Sequence 7 Nightmare was the advancement of Sequence 8 Midnight Poet. They could keep whatever abilities they had before and, in fact, enjoy a small increase in their abilities. The impression Klein had of Midnight Poets all came from Leonard Mitchell. He knew that this job inherited the unique traits of a Sleepless. They were good at combat, shooting, climbing, and sensing. They were also adept in influencing the living creatures around them through the use of various poems. In simpler terms, they were violent poets. While Iyer was reciting his poem, the large wooden crates stacked up around them seemed to suddenly ripple like water. A man wearing a black tuxedo and half-top hat appeared, but this man's face was painted in 3 pastel colors, red, yellow, and white. The sides of his lips were arched high like a clown, forming a ridiculous contrast with his formal wear that was suitable for joining an evening banquet. With a series of heavy footfalls, the black-haired Lorada, who had been introduced as a sharpshooter, charged forward quickly. She had a gun in one hand and had clenched the other into a fist. She made it within inches of the suited clown in a few steps. The suited clown seemed to be affected by Iyer Harson's poem. His body was swaying, and he had a peaceful expression in his eyes. He did not have any desire to retaliate. Lorada tilted her body with a boxing maneuver as she pulled back her fist, then punched toward the suited clown's face. A sharp crack echoed through the air as the suited clown shattered suddenly like a mirror, pieces quickly evaporating and vanishing into thin air. At this moment, the suited clown quickly appeared once again in the shadows of the wooden crates a few steps away. The suited clown's figure outline quickly appeared again. The person under the influence of the poem was only an illusion. It was a performance. The suited clown grinned again. It had a comical look as he pressed down on his half-top hat with one hand and pointed a finger gun with the other. A sharp report rang out from the finger gun. Lorada fell to the left and rolled on the floor, dodging the attack. But nothing had happened, except for the fake gunshot. A rapid series of similar sounds followed. Dunn and Iyer each lifted their guns and fired steadily. The suited clown dodged adeptly, sometimes to the right and left, sometimes rolling on the ground, just like a circus acrobat. Suddenly, Lorada surprisingly charged forward again. Despite being called a sharpshooter, she was still using her fists. With a heavy thud, the suited clown could not dodge the attack in time and could only lift his left arm to block the fist. Seeing the clown stop, Dunn and Iyer did not hesitate to each take aim and pull the trigger. At this moment, the arm that the suited clown used to block Lorada's fist ignited with an orange-yellow flame. In an instant, the flame enveloped the suited clown and spread towards Lorada. 2 shots cracked the air as Dunn and Iyer fired their revolvers, hitting the ball of flame. The flames burned rapidly and soon, all that was left were black ashes floating in the sky. But the suited clown once again appeared behind the stack of wooden crates close by. He lifted his right hand and pointed a finger gun once again. A sharp report sounded from his finger. Amid the illusory gunshot, Lorada suddenly stopped in her tracks. Mud splattered in front of her as a real bullet appeared. The suited clown was no longer delivering an illusion with this strike. It was hard to discern real from fake, reality from illusion. A rapid succession of illusory shots followed as the suited clown shot at Dunn and Iyer repeatedly, hiding and reappearing at random. Upon seeing this, Lorada squinted and lifted the dull gold revolver in her left hand. Her revolver roared. The suited clown suddenly squatted down, avoiding the fatal shot. His half-top hat was sent flying backward, falling to the ground. The bullet had left a visible scorch mark on the hat. After rolling a few times on the floor, the suited clown scaled the stacks of wooden crates with the agility of a monkey. He shot air bullets out of his finger gun from the high ground. Iyer Hansen took a few steps back and lowered his gun. He began his recital once again.
Wastes its fair bloom upon the night, who, blindfold to its fond caresses, knows not the beauty it possesses.
The suited clown jumped repeatedly between the crates. He suddenly raised his hand to scratch his ears and looked at Iyer with a comical smile. Klein observed the fight from far away, guessing silently to himself, could he have stuffed his ears? The sequence potions the secret order possessed were truly weird. Just as this thought flashed through him, he suddenly saw a figure appear at the top of a warehouse beside him, running straight inside where Ray Bieber was hiding. That figure was dressed in a grayish-white uniform, one which workers at the docks wore. His face also appeared to be painted red, yellow, and white. Klein realized the suited clown was a distraction while this other person retrieved the diary. He instinctively raised his right hand and shot at the figure on the roof. He had just taken aim when the figure suddenly squatted, switching from running to rolling on the ground. A gunshot cracked the air. Klein did not stop pulling the trigger. He saw the figure suddenly pause, blood blooming in a spurt. The figure looked at him in shock. While bearing the pain, he continued charging into the warehouse. That felt like a lucky shot, Klein thought, twitching his lips as he pulled the trigger once again. This time, the bullet hit the wooden roof beside the figure. More gunshots followed in quick succession as Leonard and Borja also shot but did not hit the figure. Klein wanted to criticize how terrible their shooting skills were compared to his when he suddenly stopped pulling the trigger. That's right. Why must we stop him? Didn't I divine that there is grave danger in the warehouse? Wouldn't it be great if we let that guy be the vanguard and step on the landmine for us? Leonard and Mr. Borja must have had the same idea. With this thought, Klein lifted the barrel of his revolver and shot at the sky. As the gunshots rang out, the figure managed to reach the innermost region of the warehouse unobstructed. He lunged downwards, slamming into the roof and falling through with the collapsing wood. Immediately following the commotion, the black-haired Lorada's eyes suddenly turned black. Her left hand began making a strange pulling action. The suited clown's jumping actions suddenly came to a pause as his ankle seemed to be grasped tightly by an invisible hand. Dunn did not shoot immediately and instead pointed his revolver downward. He opened his mouth and by simply using his spirituality to resonate the air around him, he produced a strange, faint and ethereal voice without the use of his throat.
Thus it blooms on while night is by, when day looks out with open eye, bashed at the gaze it cannot shun, it faints and withers and is gone.
The suited clown suddenly became limp, as if he had lost the desire to live. Iyer Hansen lifted his handgun and took aim, his finger pulling the trigger immediately. In that split second, an abnormal and tragic wail came from the warehouse.
Ah! The cry contained immense fear, as though its source had encountered an unimaginably terrifying matter. The hair on Klein's body stood on end. The tragic cries came to a sudden stop as silence was restored in the deepest parts of the warehouse. It was a skin-crawling silence.
A shot rang out. Affected by the cry, Iyer only managed to shoot the suited clown in the belly. A heavy, raspy panting broke the silence from the deepest depths of the warehouse. What should have been soft sounded like a crescendo that tightened everyone's nerves. A frantic, rhythmic thumping erupted from inside the black chest, as 2-049 reached a frenzied state.
The loud panting and the intense knocking alternated at first before they resounded together. It made Klein and company extremely nervous, as though they were hearing some evil murmur.
Taking advantage of the moment Iyer, Dunn and Lorada had their attention redirected, the suited clown suddenly pulled out a long piece of paper from his pocket. With a snap, he threw it with his right hand as the slip of paper ignited into a black fiery whip. Then, he lashed it towards the side of his ankle. A fleeting but tragic scream sounded as the suited clown escaped the invisible shackles and did a backflip. Dunn, Ayer, and Lorata shot again, but their bullets only ended up hitting the wooden crates. The suited clown did not stay any longer. He pressed down on his wound with his right hand while escaping in a direction opposite the warehouse. He was so fast that in the blink of an eye, all that was left was a hint of his back, and before he vanished, his right hand which pressed down on his abdomen moved towards his left arm. The wound on his stomach had already vanished, looking completely fine. The location on his left arm which he touched with his right hand suddenly became badly mangled, and a silver bullet appeared in the torn flesh. Dunn and the rest didn't chase after him because the panting from the innermost warehouse was so loud that it was making them nervous and insecure.
Suddenly, the door of the innermost warehouse exploded, flying in all directions. Then, something wrapped with a torn cloth flew out and landed not far from Klein. When Klein cast his gaze over, he realized that it was an arm. Its bloody flesh had been chewed on and its white bones were cracked in an irregular fashion as they jutted out. One item after another flew out with wet, slapping sounds. First it was a spray of blood, followed by a dilated eye and an ear which had been ripped out brutally. Finally, half a beating heart and intestines filled with yellowish-brown objects came out. If Klein had not seen the more gruesome giant cadaver at Ray Bieber's place, he would have probably vomited there and then.
His nerves were on the brink of a breakdown. After a great deal of effort to hold back his urge to shoot into the pitch-black entrance, he ejected the empty shells from his revolver and reloaded with new demon-hunting bullets. A single shot rang out as Dunn drew close and fired stably into the warehouse. However, his bullet was like a shot into the sea. There was no audible response. The loud panting sped up as grayish-white colors filled the open door. With another two loud shots, Ayer Harson's and Borja's bullets tore through the whiteness, but failed to prevent the color from spilling outwards. It did not leave any wounds or cause liquid to seep out. Klein held his breath and kept himself from shooting blindly. He watched as the whiteness slowly revealed a complete outline.
It was a humanoid creature more than 2 meters tall. Its limb joints were all unnaturally twisted, as though they had been snapped by someone forcefully. White bones poked up from under its skin as the entire grayish-white surface was filled with gullies, like a human brain that had been stripped from its shell. The monster had grayish-white, rotting, sticky liquid flowing all over it. Its head looked relatively normal, with deep wrinkles and pale skin. As it opened and closed its mouth, Klein could see a porcelain false tooth that looked close to falling out, a few strands of bloody saliva, and bone and flesh that had been minced.
Is Ray Bieber still even human? Klein drew a silent gasp as he felt his heart pound rapidly. A shot cracked, and Leonard's demon-hunting bullet hit Ray Bieber's forehead and tore right through it, leaving behind a deep hole. Grayish-white liquid flowed out and dripped onto the ground. The liquid wriggled and turned into fat cream-colored maggots, but the monster appeared completely unaffected. It was neither fast nor slow when it pounced at Borja, who was closest to it. Its actual target appeared to be the black chest that contained sealed artifact 2-049. Dunn shouted in a deep voice.
Loss of control of beyond our powers. Lorata, it looks like a dead soul, so quickly look for its weakness.
All right.
Lorata replied simply, as she raised her hands to press down on her eyes. Her pupils turned gray then colorless, as though she had entered the world of spirits and a kingdom of dead souls. She looked down at the enemy from a higher vantage point as she searched for a node. Klein saw that a normal gunshot was ineffective, so he did not bother wasting more of his bullets. He lifted his hand to tap at his glabella to activate his spirit vision. He planned on helping Gravedigger Lorata. From his vision, Monster Bieber only had one kind of spiritual glow left. It was purely grayish-white, a whiteness filled with craziness. Apart from that, Klein saw nothing else. At that moment, Ayer Harson and Leonard Mitchell sang simultaneously.
Oh, the thread of horror, the hope of crimson cries. One thing at least is certain, that this life flies, One thing is certain, and the rest is lies, the flower that once has bloomed forever dies.
The power that allowed one to enter a peaceful slumber emanated. The twisted grayish-white monster gradually slowed down as though it could not fight against the charm of the poem. Then, it opened its mouth and let out a shrill cry that ordinary people were deaf to. It was a silent, piercing shriek, audible only on a spiritual level.
A sharp crack echoed in Klein's mind as he automatically exited his spirit vision state. He felt warm liquid flowing out of his nose, and when he subconsciously wiped it with his hand, he discovered the back of his hand covered in blood. Ira and Leonard fell back to the ground at the same time. They had blood stains lining the corners of their lips, noses, and eyes. Borgia, Dunn, and Lorata each took a step or two back, the color in their face draining. That monster only screamed once, but it appeared to exceed what the 6 Benders could withstand. They instantly turned extremely weak.
With a heavy impact, the monster closed in on Borgia and suddenly swung its twisted joint. Borgia and Dunn fired 4 shots in total, but they didn't cause any damage to Monster Bieber. A heavy blow sent Borgia flying as his long-barreled revolver fell to the ground. He tried to stand up a few times, but failed to do so. The corner of Monster Bieber's mouth had stringy liquid oozing out as it leaped towards the black chest. At that crucial moment, Ira Harson shot a bullet at the box to knock it some distance away, preventing Monster Bieber from grabbing it. Its momentum brought it forward by more than 10 meters. The black chest cracked, and as the thumping within turned more intense it grew more obvious. The black-haired Lorata finally spoke.
Found it. I need you to control it for at least 3 seconds.
All right.
Dunn replied without delay. He extended his hand to tap his glabella and closed his eyes. He seemed to fall asleep as shapeless waves slowly rippled out one after another. In that instant, Monster Bieber paused and the craziness in its eyes quickly receded. Its thin transparent eyelids began to close uncontrollably as well. Dunn's body started quivering, and something popped up under his clothing and wriggled on the spot, as though he had slippery scaleless snakes within. Lorata rushed over and with a roll, arrived under Monster Bieber. She supported herself with one hand while raising a clenched fist, bombarding Monster Bieber's crotch like artillery. Her fist plunged into the monster's flesh with a wet, sickening sound. She ignored the corrosive pain but supported herself against the ground and directed more strength once again. She went higher a little as her fist drilled deeper in. With a grotesque tearing sound, Lorata pulled out her forearm as she dragged out an intestine filled with brownish-yellow bloodstains. In the intestine, there was an ancient notebook.
Ah! Monster Bieber let out a blood-curdling scream, and his body suddenly lit up as though it was melting.
Get down!
Just as Ira Harson's hurried shout ended, Klein saw Monster Bieber suddenly swell up. A deafening explosion erupted. The distant Klein was tossed into the air by the shockwave and landed heavily. He struggled to stand against a swirling headache, and he saw Monster Bieber turn into a pile of disgusting, rotting flesh. Then he saw Dunn and Lorata, who were a dozen meters away, looking like they had been knocked out. Ira Harson, Borgia, and Leonard Mitchell were on the ground too, some groaning in pain, some struggling to stand up but failing.
Klein was just about to relax when he suddenly saw a familiar object about 2 or 3 meters away from him. The black chest had stopped rolling, its cracked surface facing the sky. A skinny brown arm extended out. A jolt of pure terror shot through Klein. Sealed artifact 2-049. His heart tensed up as he immediately leaped in the opposite direction in a bid to escape its effective range. The blast from before had thrown the black chest near him. And at that moment, Klein's head suddenly buzzed as his thoughts turned sluggish. Oh no! I've been controlled by the puppet. Captain and company are either unconscious or have yet to recover. They can't even get up. They will not be able to wake me up in time. No, I have to save myself. Everything before Klein's eyes was happening in slow motion. All his joints and his brain seemed to have been coated with an ever-thickening layer of glue. He had no interest in becoming a human version puppet, so he seized the opportunity of not being fully controlled by trying his best to seek a way to save himself. I definitely can't hit myself. There must be an external force. External force. I'll give it a try. There's no time for hesitation.
Without the luxury of time to think through things, Klein came to an idea in less than 3 seconds. He moved his rusty knee joint and took a counterclockwise step. At the same time, he did not try to escape the invisible rope that hung around his throat. All he did was recite inwardly, "Blessings stem from the immortal Lord of heaven and earth." His knees and ankles let out a complex, ear-piercing sound. With a slow, contorted step, he took another step counterclockwise. "Blessings stem from the Sky Lord of heaven and earth."
Klein's thoughts turned increasingly sluggish, as though he was a computer that had all sorts of bloatware and every antivirus software installed. He lifted his left foot in a jerky manner as he took another step in the required spot. "Blessings stem from the exalted arch." Klein's thought processes turned more and more rigid and sluggish. He took the final step purely out of instinct. At that point, he knew he was almost fully under the puppet's control. Even if Harson could get up in time to save him, he would probably be unable to be awakened. But his strong desire to live made him chant the final line of the incantation. "Blessings stem from the celestial worthy." Just as he finished his incantation, the extremely chaotic and hysterical shouts and murmurs sounded. They quickly took over every corner of Klein's sluggish thoughts, shattering them in the process and reducing them to thoughts he had no control over. Klein's brain became a boiling pot of potpourri as his stiff body turned light while his spirituality lifted. Endless grayish-white fog and the dark red stars of varying distances appeared once again before his eyes. It was vast, mysterious, vague, and blurry.
Klein's confused mind quickly settled down as he finally regained his ability to think, only to see the magnificent palace. He whispered with a lingering fear. "Phew." Thankfully, it worked. According to his previous observations, he knew that once someone fell under the control of sealed artifact 2-049, it was equivalent to death. Normally, there was no medicine that could save the victim. Luckily, his luck enhancement ritual and the mysterious world above the gray fog were not considered normal at all. After pacing a few times, Klein began considering the situation he was in. "I can't just stay here the entire time, right? By the time Captain and company wake up and gather over, I won't be able to explain the situation. As things are right now, I only have the shell of my body, nothing more zombie-like than a zombie. But if I were to take the risk in return, there's no way to guarantee my safety. What if I get controlled by 2-049 again?" While suffering from his dilemma, Klein suddenly smacked himself in the forehead and could not help but chuckle softly. "It looks like I haven't gotten used to my status as a seer." Before he finished his sentence, he appeared at the seat of honor in front of the long bronze table, sitting on the high-backed chair with the strange symbol. Klein extended his hand as a fountain pen appeared out of thin air. He scribbled a sentence on an illusory piece of paper. "Returning to the real world is very safe." Immediately following that, Klein pulled out a projection of a spirit pendulum from his pocket. After a few gatherings, he discovered that the items he brought on him were projected above the gray fog, but they were relatively illusory. Klein held the silver chain with his left hand as he allowed the topaz to nearly touch the paper. He calmed his breathing and half-closed his eyes. He calmly repeated the words on the piece of paper. After repeating it 7 times, Klein completed the divination with spirit dowsing. He opened his eyes and saw the topaz slowly oscillating, guiding the silver chain in a clockwise spin. Clockwise is an affirmation while counterclockwise is negative. Returning to the real world is very safe. Klein heaved a sigh of relief as he habitually stored the chain away. Then, he released his spirituality and wrapped his body as he simulated a plummeting state. The hazy fog and deep red stars turned ethereal and charged upward. Klein soon saw himself still in a daze in his original position. He saw the brown puppet, halfway out of the chest. He also noticed that the sealed artifact had apparently stopped all motion. His physical senses reached his brain, and just as he was about to try to move his arm to determine his condition, he suddenly heard a voice concealed within the wind.
Do you wish to be awakened? You can be saved as long as you promise me one thing. This one thing is to help me take that Antigonus family notebook. Nod if you agree. I know you are still capable of completing that action.
Who is it? Yes, 2-049 doesn't seem like it's attempting to control me. That's right. It will not repeatedly influence the same person. There will be a break. Klein was shocked, but he did not show it on his face. At that moment, the voice added quickly.
You can obtain additional rewards if you complete this matter. I know you are a seer. I also know that the Church of the Evernight Goddess does not have sequence 8 that succeeds sequence 9, but our secret order can give it to you. To be honest, I was a seer before. If not, I wouldn't have dared return. To show you my sincerity, I can now tell you that the corresponding sequence 8 of Seer is Clown.
Clown? Secret order? Klein nearly did not maintain his puppet state. He never made the connection between Seer and Clown. Were they about to become the head honchos of a circus? The voice sounded with the wind again.
All right, make your choice. Believe me, you no longer have much time left to waste.
The distant Dunn and Lorada were still unconscious. Borja seemed heavily injured as he moaned without moving. Iyer Harson and Leonard Mitchell were in relatively good shape as they attempted to sit up. Why me? The secret order. Is it that suited clown from before? After he escaped, he secretly returned in a bid to fish in troubled waters. Upon hearing the voice, all sorts of doubts instantly flashed through Klein's mind. Since the person said that he was a seer, Klein attempted using the thought processes of a seer to analyze the situation. He dared return because he divined hope. He believed that Monster Bieber would be destroyed and that we would suffer a heavy setback. He did not take the notebook by himself or deal with us directly because he likely divined that it would contain immense risk. Therefore, he is suspecting Captain and Madame Lorada are feigning their unconsciousness, or that this is a trap laid out for him. He did not make further divinations to determine my present state partially because firstly, he might not have the time. If he waited any longer, Mr. Iyer Harson and company would have regained some of their combat strength. Secondly, he belittles me and thinks it unnecessary. He understands the seer very well and is confident that I'm unable to escape the puppet's control. He is using me as cannon fodder to probe for any traps. From another angle, this also means that the luck enhancement ritual does not cause any abnormal appearances. With his brain no longer sluggish, Klein felt that his line of reasoning was clear. He was quite confident of the thoughts and goals of the suited clown. As for the clown's promise, he believed not one bit of it. Cannon fodder did not have any human rights. As the thoughts flashed through his head, Klein controlled his neck and with difficulty, nodded. As he did this action, he confirmed that he had escaped the control of sealed artifact 2-049. Just after he nodded, a transparent curtain stirred 2 to 3 meters to his side. It revealed the suited clown who had his face painted with a clown's pastel colors. It was none other than the secret order member who had fled previously. At that moment, as Klein had previously turned around in an attempt to leap out of 2-049's effective range, his back was facing the black chest and the puppet. The suited clown was in front of him to his side. First, it was to stay away from the sealed artifact, and second, to avoid his revolver's barrel. It was clear that he was very careful. The suited clown pulled out a long paper slip from his pocket and shook it vigorously until it turned straight like a wooden pole. He held the wooden pole and at a distance of 2 to 3 meters, he gave Klein's shoulder a prod in an attempt to wake him. This fellow knows 2-049 very well. He knows that if the scent of an Antigonus family descendant is present, the puppet would go ballistic and control 2 at a time. He also knows that throwing a rock doesn't seem effective. At the very least, I've seen Captain and company attempt similar means. Although Klein did not know why 2-049 had stopped assimilating him again, he did not dare stay within 5 meters of it any longer. Therefore, he waited as he held his breath. Just as the wooden pole was about to touch his shoulder, Klein suddenly raised his left hand and grabbed the edge of the pole and yanked it backwards. The suited clown was caught by surprise as his body was pulled forward. He staggered a few steps forward as the gap between him and Klein contracted once again. He was now less than 2 meters away. At the same time, the prepared Klein squeezed his right finger on the revolver's trigger. With 2 sharp reports, he shot twice, but not at the suited clown. Instead, he had aimed behind him, shooting to the side of sealed artifact 2-049. Before the gunshots rang out, the suited clown had taken the initiative to roll from his staggering state. He had instinctively backed off. Klein released his hand which had grabbed the wooden pole as he took several steps away rapidly and rushed out of the danger zone.
Just as the suited clown rolled twice and was about to jump backwards, his head went abuzz as his thoughts rapidly turned sluggish. No good. He forced me to dodge in the direction of the Antigonus puppet. I'm within 5 meters. How could he not be controlled by the Antigonus puppet?
The suited clown stopped from his rolling as he attempted to crawl out with his seemingly rusty joints. At that moment, Klein had already turned around. He held his revolver with both hands as he aimed at the slowly moving target. To him, that was equivalent to shooting a fixed target. Having seen the suited clown's battle with Dunn, Ayer, and Lorata, Klein knew that he was agile and good at rolling. Therefore, even when they were just a meter or 2 apart, he had carefully given up on shooting directly. Instead, he forced the clown to dodge to the kill zone he imagined, where sealed artifact 2-049 was. If the puppet had been ineffective, the suited clown would have determined that he had fallen into a trap. He would then escape by leaping backwards and not pose any significant threat. Reflected in the indescribable eyes of the suited clown, the black-suited Klein pulled the trigger calmly. A deafening crack echoed through the air. The silver bullet traversed the short distance of a few meters and accurately bore into the suited clown's neck. Large amounts of blood spewed out, dyeing his skin and bow tie red. The suited clown was unable to let out a cry as his throat seemed to produce sounds of him gasping for breath. He wished to raise his arm to divert the fatal wound, but his joints appeared to be filled with glue. His motions were slow and jerky. Having entered a half-cogitation state, Klein was not stunned by the appearance of blood. Another shot rang out as he pulled the trigger once again calmly, as though it was his usual daily practice. A grisly hole appeared on the suited clown's forehead as crimson red spewed out. The luster in his eyes dimmed as the intricate revolver's might was far higher than what Klein had imagined. As his knees buckled and his arms hung down, the suited clown gradually fell to the ground. His eyes were frozen with a dazed look. His body convulsed a few times before it slowly relaxed and stopped moving. Having delivered a headshot, Klein turned around in a cool manner. He spun his revolver and allowed the empty shells to fall down. Then, dressed in his black formal suit and half-top hat, he walked towards Ayer Harson. He pulled out the final silver demon hunting bullet in his pocket and inserted it into the revolver's chamber. The reason why he did not turn back to look at the suited clown's tragic fate was solely because of his discomfort with his first kill. However, it was necessary. He did not know what would happen if the suited clown was under the full control of the puppet. Furthermore, he did not dare risk entering sealed artifact 2-049's effective range. After all, no one knew if something odd would happen that prevented his self-rescuing luck enhancement ritual to fail. As for the items on the suited clown, Klein only cared if there was the so-called clown potion formula or the relevant clues. However, this was not something he was in a hurry to carry out. In a while, he could do it together with Dunn, Ayer, and company. If the Nighthawks had it, it also practically meant that he had it. There was no way that they would be unwilling to share the potion formula of Sequence 8. At most, he would be required to accumulate his contributions over time. After all, he had only become a seer recently. It would still be a long time until he fully digested it. As his thoughts churned, Klein quickly walked next to Ayer Harson. The gentleman in his gray windbreaker struggled to sit up but failed at every try. He was covered in dust and mud from the fall. He squatted down and asked, pointing the revolver in his hand at the ground in case of a misfire. "Mr. Parson, what do you need me to do?"
Iyer gasped for air inside.
The monster was too strong, if not for its weakness.
Then, he pointed at a sky-blue metal bottle beside him and said with a self-deprecating laugh,
I was trying to consume some medicine, but my hand shook.
The sky-blue bottle was about the size of Klein's finger. It was not longer than 5 centimeters long, and a cap that had spiral patterns had fallen to the side. The liquid had completely spilled. Klein reached out to pick up the bottle. As he looked at it with narrowed eyes, he answered helplessly, "Mr. Parson, there are only a few drops left in the bottle," Iyer said as he gasped for breath.
Go to Borgia and search his body, in his inner pockets.
"All right." Klein stood up and casually asked, "Is this restorative medicine? An item from mysticism?" Iyer attempted to sit up only to fail again.
No, it only has certain restorative effects. The main goal is to stimulate our minds and squeeze out the potential of our bodies. It allows us to maintain a decent state for a short period of time until we return, where we can receive treatment. Its name is the goddess's gaze. Remember to let Borgia drink half a bottle.
Klein did not delay any further as he turned around. He briskly arrived at Borgia, who was groaning in pain. He found the uniform sky-blue metal bottle from the Nighthawk's pocket. After removing the cap, he carefully held the bottle to Borgia's mouth. Having sensed it, Borgia tried hard to open his lips. The bottle was held up as dark red liquid flowed into Borgia's mouth. Klein estimated the quantity and stopped just in time. He then screwed the cap back on. The medicine was rather effective. It only took Borgia a few seconds after drinking to regain the spirit in his eyes. Furthermore, he whispered,
"Thank you."
With that said, he pressed down on the ground as he slowly sat up. He first dealt with his wounds before walking to the unconscious Lorata and Dunn. Then, he retrieved the goddess's gaze from the latter's inner pocket. Klein returned to Iyer's side and fed him the remaining half bottle. After Iyer panted a few times, his actions suddenly became nimbler. He stood up as though he had never been injured. The gentleman with the charm of a middle-aged man pointed at Leonard Mitchell and said,
"I'll help Borgia. Help that partner of yours."
Klein had no objections to it. He turned around and jogged to the poet, Leonard. Leonard, with his disheveled hair, smiled as he raised the sky-blue bottle.
"There's no need. I can drink it by myself."
Upon seeing Leonard agilely get up by pushing up with one hand, Klein, who wanted to lampoon, was suddenly stunned. Leonard's injuries are lighter than I expected. He had the ability to consume the medicine from the very beginning. That also means that he could see me walk counterclockwise as I did the luck enhancement ritual. No, that's still all right. I had chanted inwardly, and the luck enhancement ritual does not appear odd in any way, or the suited clown would not have fallen for it. But even so, Leonard, who had long recovered but chose to watch by the sidelines, had seen quite a lot. Things like me not being affected by 2-049 and my sneak attack on the suited clown. Just as Klein's eyes narrowed slightly, Leonard, who was walking in his direction, stopped beside him and chuckled softly.
"I actually wanted to save you but discovered that you didn't need it. Don't mind it. There are many special people in this world that can always do things others can't, such as you and me."
Leonard smiled as he went past Klein and walked to the awakening Dunn and Lorata. Narcissist. Klein thought silently as he felt a lot more relaxed. From the looks of it, Leonard Mitchell hid quite a bit of secrets. As he regrouped with the rest while deep in thought, he saw Captain Dunn wear a cloth and pick up the Antigonus family notebook that was covered in yellowish-brown bloodstains. The notebook's cover was completely made of thick black paper. It suffused an aura from an ancient and distant time without any signs of softening or rotting. It was nearly identical to the one he saw in his dream. He even suspected that flipping it open would only make him see the fool wearing splendid headgear. However, he soon realized that he was overthinking things since Dunn had flipped open the notebook to make a final confirmation. Klein was unable to discern the words on it due to his poor angle, but he was certain that there was no drawing of the fool with his gorgeous clothes and splendid headdress. Clearing his throat, Dunn closed the notebook and held it securely. Then, he looked at Iyer and company.
Let's store this notebook in sealed artifact 2-049 behind Tingen's Cheney's gate. We can wait until all of you are recovered or Backlund sends someone over.
Upon hearing that, Klein felt a little disappointed once again, but also felt happy. He wished to see the Antigonus family's notebook once more and figure out the reason for the death of the original Klein, Welch, and Naya. However, he also felt that the ancient item was filled with misfortune. It often brought catastrophe, so he did not dare touch it. Handing it to the church's headquarters and sealing it is considered the best choice. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief.
All right.
Iyer Harson, Borja, and Larada nodded in unison. They then turned around and arrived beside sealed artifact 2-049. They woke each other up and stuffed the puppet, which had resumed moving, into the black chest with an opening as they monitored it strictly. Iyer sounded a little more relaxed.
Everything is back to normal.
Inside the dimly lit black chest, the puppet wrapped in oil-stained cloth flipped over, its body creaking as it aligned its clown-painted face with the light source. On the creepy face, under the black pupil-less eyes, 2 hardly noticeable crimson cracks appeared. Meanwhile, Dunn, Leonard, and Klein, who had mustered his courage, began searching the suited clown's corpse. They found paper flowers, handkerchiefs, poker cards, glass pieces, and all sorts of strange items. However, apart from that, he did not seem to carry anything of worth or potential clues, other than the wallet with 70 to 80 pounds and 10 plus solely. Klein secretly sighed.
With money in mind, he immediately looked down and inspected himself. His face nearly fell literally. His formal suit that cost several pounds had torn in 5 to 6 spots which required mending due to his rolling on the ground. Furthermore, it was covered in dust and dirt stains.
Dunn shot him a glance as the corner of his lips curved up.
Losses during a mission can be reimbursed.
Reimbursed. Upon hearing the term invented by Emperor Roselle, Klein instantly felt wonderful. Yeah, this suit just needs some proper cleaning and mending before it can be worn again. It will still be presentable. When the reimbursement comes, I can buy another set and I can take turns wearing them. I am not the kind of person that uses a reimbursement for something other than what it was intended for. However, I should consider getting a set of clothes for combat in the future, such as a black windbreaker like Captain. Clothes with slightly poorer material would be much cheaper than a tuxedo. I wonder if the reason why that bastard, Leonard, doesn't like wearing formal suits is because he's had such considerations.
Dunn touched the suited clown's face paint with his gloves and said,
Let Fry take care of the dead body. We'll see if he can find what the man originally looked like or find any relevant clues.
Then, they searched the innermost warehouse and saw splotches of bloody flesh that looked like they had been smashed by boulders. They also saw white bones strewn everywhere. After inspecting the warehouse, Dunn guessed at the possibilities.
Ray Bieber was absorbing the power in the notebook via an ancient ritual, just like how we would consume a higher-level sequence potion. A ritual like that is full of danger. It must be performed in an environment isolated from all disturbances, and the ritual would have required him to enter a deep sleep for a certain amount of time. That was probably why he had yet to leave Tingen.
Upon hearing such a description, Larada laughed. Her black hair contrasted sharply with her pale face.
Such a pity, we awakened him ahead of time. His anger at being woken up truly left a deep impression on us.
Dunn looked towards Klein and told him, as both an explanation and a lecture.
This is a kind of losing control.
A perplexed Klein asked. Why didn't he just leave Tingen and try to absorb it elsewhere? Iyer laughed and pointed to his head.
People influenced by ancient or sinister powers often are lacking in this department.
At that moment, Dunn inhaled and said while hiding his pain,
Leonard, you are still in good condition. Stay here and do not allow ordinary people to come close. The rest of us will immediately search for items among Ray Bieber's remains. We will return with them and the sealed artifact, as well as the Antigonus family's notebook. We will then get Fry, Royale, and the police to come here.